Part 54. After the flash marriage, the character collapsed. Author, Dalby in the World. Chapter 531. Chapter 531. Take the money and leave my son too. Rather than letting my son marry you and ultimately ruin the family fortune and destroy the Tang dynasty group, it is better to take back everything he owns now. Uncle Tang, you think too highly of me, Qi Lili, I said coldly. I'm just an ordinary woman. I don't have the ability to do the damage you said. I will not leave Feishan on my own initiative. Tang Wentao's face darkened, he was completely angry, and he stood up angrily. Don't think that I dare not do anything to you. It's easy for me to destroy a woman. Don't force me to do cruel things. Qi Lili's heart slowly sank to the bottom, and she was a little panicked. Although it looked like nothing on the surface, she was panicking inside. She didn't know how to solve the situation in front of her. His usual indifference and forcefulness seemed to make Fei Chen's father even more angry. She has her own arrogance and cannot bow her head, let alone a hot face against a cold butt. She was not afraid of the destruction in Tang's father's words, but she was worried that Tang's father would become increasingly unacceptable to her and how she and Fei Shen would continue to go on in the future. She actually longs to be accepted by the family of her beloved man, but things go against her wishes. The more flustered and sad she felt, the colder the expression on her face became, giving people a sense of alienation, which only made Father Tang across the way angrier, thinking that she was provoking. Aren't you afraid? Or do you think Fei Shen can protect you? Do you think Fei Shen can save you when he really wants to destroy you? Or do you think he will be capable in the future? I can do it at any time, leave him with nothing. Qi Lili stood up slowly and looked directly at Dad Tang. I know you don't like me, but please don't transfer your anger towards me to Fei Shen. You know his intentions towards the Tang dynasty group. It's not suitable for us to continue talking today. Again, I won't leave him, I hope you can accept me one day. Qi Lili bent down slightly, turned around and left handsomely. Whether it's 100 million or 200 million, she won't accept it. From today on, she knows that her future and Feishan's path will be even more difficult, which is what she was afraid of before. However, he still had to face things that should be faced, and eventually he came to a place where he was in opposition to his family. The initial deception and lies finally turned into the most terrible poison between them. She doesn't blame others, she knows that she must bear the consequences of her original deception. She doesn't know how to go in the future, and she is equally confused. But she believed that as long as there was love between her and Fei Chen, they could go all the way, as long as they could love each other. Even if there are many thorns that hinder their future, she will split them. All miracles are created by people. Maybe she can't let go of her self-esteem now and doesn't know how to cook to make her family accept her. There is still a lot of time in the future. It took a long time for her to face it slowly. Qi Lili did not tell Tang Feishan about today's meeting, for fear that telling him would aggravate the rift between him and Tang's father. When I got home, I saw my sister smiling happily. When I saw her, I hugged her happily, holding a B ultrasound photo in my hand, who was so excited. Sister, look, our mini version. Qi Lili didn't quite understand what her sister was talking about, so she looked at the photo in her sister's hand curiously. I don't understand. What's the meaning? End of this chapter. After the flash marriage, the character collapsed. Author, Dalby in the World. Chapter 532. Chapter 532. The important thing is that I love you. 1. Qian Yuman pointed to 2 small dots and said excitedly. Look, the 2 fetal sacs mean that your sister and I are pregnant with twins. Just like you and me. Qian Yuman ran back happily, wanting to tell Tang Yuj the great news, but she didn't see anyone else at all after she came back. Secretary Zhang, Murongya and Tang Feishan were all missing. Because she was so excited and happy, She could only hold Fang Qingguo alone and tell her that Fang Qingguo was so annoyed by her that his ears were calloused. It was hard to wait for someone to be with him again. She immediately didn't let him go and pulled him. She continued to brag about being pregnant with twins. "Congratulations, sister." When Chi Lili heard the good news, the expression on her face softened a lot, and the depression in her heart also disappeared. Excited Qian Yuman looked at her sister doubtfully. "Are you worried?" Chi Lili had no intention of hiding it from her sister. She was in a bad mood, but Qian Yuman recognized her at a glance. The twins were somewhat telepathic, and they had been sisters for so many years. How could they still not understand her? Chi Lili told her sister about her meeting with Tang's father just now, which aroused Qian Yuman's anger. "That's so abominable." Qian Yuman went berserk, picked up the cushion and threw it on the ground, pointing at herself angrily. "Sister, don't worry. I will help you with your happiness. Aren't you just a stinky old man? Isn't it easy to solve? If he dares to threaten you, then I have to agree. Don't worry, in the future, if the stinky old man doesn't agree with you, together, let Faishan elope with you, and let your brother-in-law support you from now on, since he has money anyway." Qian Yuman raised her chin proudly. The last thing she has to worry about now is money. "Sister," a faint smile appeared on Chi Lili's face. "Lili, don't be upset. We don't have to ask him to agree with you alone. It's important for us to agree with ourselves. In the worst case, we'll elope. He thinks he's great if he has money, and he uses money to humiliate you. To humiliate you is tantamount to humiliating me. Humiliating me is tantamount to humiliating Mr. Tang. This matter is serious." "Sister, that's too exaggerated," Chi Lili said with a chuckle. Qian Yuman stuck out her tongue and raised her head in disgust. "Mr. Tang told me before that that smelly old man is nothing. If he doesn't agree with you being together, then go to the imperial capital together or live abroad. In the future, we will support you and maintain your relationship. Just like what Mr. Tang said, all he has is money, and if he has a lot of money, he can burn it for many days. And he has long been unhappy with that smelly old man, and said that it would be best to him off. The angrier he is, the happier Mr. Tang will be. As his virtuous wife, I will. Of course I have to obey my husband." Qian Yuman chuckled and waved his hands, plotting a plan to make people mad without paying for their lives. If Mr. Tang were here now, the whites of his eyes would be exposed and he would be disgusted to the end. The plan can only be too big. "Sister, thank you." Although her sister's words were a bit exaggerated, Chi Lili was still very moved. Qian Yuman touched his face and sat next to her. "How can I thank you? You are my only sister. If I don't love you, who will I love?" Wang Tianyu was wearing home clothes and standing at the top of the stairs with a look of disgust and ridicule. "Childish." Qian Yuman turned around and saw his proud face. "Who are you calling naive? You. The methods you think of are all to tease people, and they are totally harmless to Tang Wentao." End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. After the flash marriage, the character collapsed. Author, Daobi in the World. Chapter 533. Chapter 533. What's important is that I love you too. You. The methods you think of are all to tease people, and they are completely harmless to Tang Wentao. Wang Tianyu's mouth was full of sarcasm, and his eyes were full of sarcasm when he looked at Qian Yuman. "Why are you so annoying?" Qian Yuman glared angrily, feeling that she had been deceived by his appearance in the first place. When they met again, they mistook him for Brother Wang, and acted like a gentle neighbor. After her true nature is exposed, all kinds of pride and poisonous snakes love to make her unhappy. If you tell the truth, you will be hated. Then I won't be able to tell you the truth from now on. Wang Tianyu looked helpless and speechless. Qian Yuman is so annoying that he is too lazy to chat with a wounded like him. Kingguo, Tianyu, it's time to take medicine, please bring the medicine quickly, Qian Yuman shouted at the top of his voice. When Wang Tianyu heard that he wanted to drink medicine again, his face darkened and he immediately found an excuse and ran away. Seeing Wang Tianyu's running speed, she and Qilao laughed out loud at the same time. She was timid and even mocked her for being petty, so why was he scared away? But it's important whether it's painful or not, but it's really effective. He was able to run in just a week. Tangyuj didn't come back all day and night, and Qian Yuman was bored waiting at home. She made several phone calls without getting a definite answer. She didn't want to tell him the good news in person, so she told him directly that she was pregnant with twins. Finally, Tangyuj came back the next night, but she was tired of waiting. Husband, you are back. Qian Yuman flew to Tangyuj like a fluttering butterfly, hugging his arm and acting coquettishly. Tangyuj couldn't help but sigh when faced with Qian Yuman's sudden change of attitude. It is said that women have a deep heart, and pregnant women have strange tempers. Today I have faced it once. He remembered that before he left, Qian Yuman ignored him and got into trouble with him. It had only been a day and a night since she came back, and her attitude had changed completely. Qian Yuman pouted, feeling very good and not tangled up with him. Let's go back to the room and rest. Took him to the room, rushed into the room first to find the B ultrasound photo, and held it in front of him like a treasure. Would you like to see the results of my examination yesterday? Mother and daughter must be safe. Judging from the speed at which she ran, she was already full of energy after just 2 days. Qian Yuman shook her head and put the photo in his hand. Look at the photo. Tangyuj looked at the photo and immediately found 2 fetal sacs, and his eyes lit up. Fraternal twins. Correct answer. Qian Yuman listened to her belly and smiled while touching her belly, which had obviously grown a lot recently. More than 2 months old, almost 3 months old. She had always thought she had eaten too much. Now I understand that they are 2 more babies. No wonder she took in so much energy but didn't gain much flesh, only her belly. Honey, you're great. Tangyuj excitedly picked up Qian Yuman and spun her around in circles, then gently put her down, held her face and kissed her wildly, finally settling on her red lips. Qian Yuman happily hugged his neck, embraced the kiss, and kept deepening it. The passionate kiss ended, and the 2 of them chatted on the bed as if they were glued to one another. Qian Yuman grabbed Tangyuj's slender and beautiful fingers and played with them. Where have you been all day and night? This will solve the future troubles, and you won't have to worry about dangers around you in the future. End of this chapter. After the flash marriage, the character collapsed. Author, Daobi in the World. Chapter 534. Chapter 534. What's important is that I love you. 3. Qian Yuman glanced at him and did not continue to ask. No need to ask, you all know what kind of words will be said later and what Tangyuj will do to relieve his worries. Tangyuj said that although he has not touched some bottom-line things, he has never concealed that he has done some gray areas and cruel things. Mr. Tang, let's make peace. Qian Yuman suddenly said something. Huh, reconciliation? Are they bad? Qian Yuman raised her head and looked at Tangyuj very seriously. I won't lose my temper with you anymore, and I won't ask you if you love me in the future. Anyway, I will tell you that I love you every day. The important thing is that I love you. It's okay if you can't love me, but you can't fall in love with someone else. You are not allowed to have someone else in your heart. If one day I find out that you have someone else, I will immediately run away like a little baby in my belly. It is commonly known as running with the ball. Although it makes her sad that Mr. Tang doesn't love her, she will be very happy if she doesn't worry about it, because she has always been held in his hands and loved by him. She feels very happy, and there are 2 children waiting to be born together. Welcome the arrival of new lives. However, she was a stingy woman. Although she reluctantly accepted the fact that he didn't love her in his heart, she couldn't convince him that he had other people's affairs in his heart. If one day she knew that he was sorry for her, it would be terrible for her to become ruthless. Tanyuj chuckled lightly and raised his hand to swear. I won't let you leave me. When Tanyuj said this, the sincerity and determination in his eyes were so strong. Those charming eyes stared at her, causing her little heart to beat crazily again. It's so abominable, how could he tease her heart all the time and keep her trapped in the web of his love, but he told her that he didn't love her. So bad. The next day, early in the morning, before Qian Yuman woke up, she heard Fang Qingguo scream and rushed into Qian Yuman's room. Qian Yuman, who was still sleeping soundly, was sleeping with Tanyuj in her arms like an octopus. Suddenly someone rushed in and she jumped up in fright. What's wrong, is it on fire? Fang Qingguo cried sadly, and the scene of crying was as majestic as a mountain collapsing. Tianyu is missing, he seems to be gone. Gone, Qian Yuman was surprised and immediately ran to his room, and sure enough she didn't see anyone. Fang Qingguo just asked you to search everywhere, but you couldn't find anyone. Wang Tianyu suddenly disappeared in the castle. No one saw him leaving, but he left a note. Tianyu, the medicine is too unpleasant to drink and I can't bear it. Qian Yuman sighed regretfully when he saw the medicine. Oops. He ran away. You and Tianyu haven't reconciled yet. The 2 brothers have not communicated with each other in the past few days, and there are even fewer quarrels. Qian Yuman looks anxious. Don't worry about our relationship. Just take good care of yourself. Tanyuj felt a little disappointed after learning that Wang Tianyu left. Qian Yuman sighed helplessly, and suddenly something came to mind. Oops. I haven't told him yet that the cancer is fake. Will he think he is going to die and go to the deep mountains and wild forests to wait for death? Tanyuj laughed out loud. How long do you really think you can deceive you about cancer? Maybe he would have exposed it long ago. Qian Yuman shook his head. I think he believed it. His eyes couldn't deceive her. End of this chapter. After the flash marriage, the character collapsed. Author, Daobi in the World. Chapter 535. Chapter 535 Introducing someone to Tang Feishan 1. Tanyuj and Qian Yuman stayed in Berlin for a while. Qian Yuman, who was 2 months and 20 days pregnant, finally arrived in Berlin for more than 10 days but could not find her mother. However, they had some directions over there. Don't be like a headless fly who doesn't know where to find it. Since Qian Yuman found out that Tang's father had approached Qi Lili and wanted to send her sister away with money, her inspirational husband was right. He wanted to protect his sister's happiness and went to make her father-in-law feel uncomfortable. Qian Yuman has always thought that she is a little woman, a little evil, and she will care about other people's bad things towards her. She is not a generous woman. As the saying goes, you are not a gentleman if you don't retaliate. In order to be a gentleman, she had to take her sister to Tang's house today to make Tang's father unhappy. If a person can't like Dad Tang, maybe there is something wrong with that person. When he is in a group of people, then he needs to reflect on himself. Tanyuj and Tang's father have always been incompatible with each other. They quarreled whenever they met, and they didn't feel comfortable if they didn't argue a few times. Qian Yuman was originally neutral towards Tang's father, but ever since Tang's father humiliated Qi Lili and refused Lili to marry into the Tang family, she had a problem with Tang's father. This time she knew that he even wanted to spend money to get rid of her sister, and even said a lot of unpleasant things, which made her feel panicked. Tanyuj and his wife have not been back for a long time. Grandma Tang misses her precious grandson and granddaughter-in-law, so she has made countless phone calls about this. As soon as he returned to the country, Tanyuj took Qian Yuman back. At the same time, Tang Feishan and Qi Lilei also came back, and notified the Tang family in advance. Qian Yuman hugged Qi Lilei's arm and walked into the Tang family's gate together. Before anyone could enter, she heard laughter and laughter coming from inside. Yuking's massage skills are really getting better and better. Tang's father's voice of comfort and enjoyment came, followed by Qi Yuking's voice. As long as Dad Tang likes it. Love tea. Before Qian Yuman went in, she heard the conversation between Qi Yuking and Tang's father and frowned slightly. Dad Tang definitely did it on purpose. He knew that they were coming back today, but he actually called Qi Yuking here. Does Tang's father still want to tell Qian Yuman that he is not satisfied with her as his daughter-in-law? If he is restless, does he mean to replace her at any time? Even if Tang Wentao had this intention, it would be impossible for him to realize this idea. Tang Yuj is not as easy to talk to as Tang Feishan. The filial Tang Feishan is caught in the middle, but Tang Yuj is different. In Tang Yuj's words, the more unhappy and angry Tang's father is, the more comfortable he feels physically and mentally. His wife is his choice and he has no way to interfere. Sister, let's go in. Qian Yuman put a bright smile on her face, hugged her sister intimately and walked inside. The soldiers came to cover up the water and the earth. If not just one person, he could eat them. After Qian Yuman and Qi Lile entered, they felt Qi Yuking's burning eyes at the same time. Qi Yuking kept massaging Tang's father's shoulders with her fingers, her eyes burning, hiding the hatred in her heart very well. She now fully understood what had happened. I always thought it was Qi Lilei who seduced Tang Yuj, but it turns out there is a twin sister Qi Lilei. He was actually fooled by these two sisters, which made him angry just thinking about it. She still remembered that she was severely beaten by Qi Lilei and had her fiancé taken away by Qian Yuman. These resentments could not go away. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. After the flash marriage, the character collapsed. Author, Daobi in the World. Chapter 536. Chapter 536, Introducing Tang Feishan 2. Chapter 536 Introducing the Object 2 to Tang Feishan. Qi Yuking still remembers that she was severely beaten by Qi Lilei and her fiancé was snatched away by Qian Yuman. These resentments cannot go away. From the moment she knew the existence of Qian Yuman, she hated this woman deeply. Without her appearance, she would not have terminated her engagement with Brother Yu. It is obvious that Brother Yu belongs to her alone. This matter will never change. Sooner or later, she will let Brother Yu return to her side, and then she will see clearly what a disgusting Qian Yuman is. When she met the Qian Yuman sisters again, she endured it and tried hard not to let her emotions be exposed, and to be an educated lady. Her fingers were still busy on Father Tang's shoulders, playing the role of a beautiful little daughter-in-law. Brother Yu, long time no see. Qi Yuking smiled slightly, showing two small pear dimples, and looked at Tang Yuj with eyes that never concealed the deep affection in his eyes. Tang Yuj nodded at her without giving any other expression. I finally found out that I'm back. I thought you all didn't want this home. It's been 10 days since I left. Father Tang became furious as soon as he banged the table. He looked majestic and looked directly at Qi Lilei and Qian Yuman. Humph. Why did you, a woman, come to my house? Get out of here right now. Tang's father pointed directly at Qi Lile and cursed, showing no expression at all. Tang Feishan frowned slightly, walked to his girlfriend, and protected her by his side. Dad, Lilei is my fiancée, why can't she come to my house for dinner? Fiancée, she is no longer your fiancée. She is my fiancée. We had an engagement party. Although you don't agree with our wedding now, the engagement is an indisputable fact. Tang Feishan has a tough attitude. After this trip to Berlin, he is more determined to protect his girlfriend, feeling sorry for what she faced. Are you going to make me as angry as your brother? There is Chi Lili in this family, but there is no your father or me. Father Tang slammed the table, his face turned red with anger. Dad, are you forcing me? I will not give up Lili. I want to marry her. Tang Feishan hugged Chi Lili intimately, keeping his eyes fixed on the expression on her face. Watching her stubborn expression, he pursed his lips, feeling even more distressed. Qian Yuman felt sad as she watched Tang Feishan quarreling with Tang's father over Lili, and stepped forward. Dad, Lili is my sister. No matter whether you accept Lili as your daughter-in-law or not, she will still be my sister. The in-laws of the Tang family are guests. Does the Tang family always slam the table and curse when facing guests? Dad Tang sneered. Guest? In-laws. The uninvited person is not a guest. She is a woman who has been trying to kidnap my son. I finally understand Dad's way of hospitality this time, husband. We should also learn from it. Jian Yuman looked at Tang Yuj with a smile, a hint of mischief flashed in her eyes. It is easy to learn from his old man's fallacies. Jian Yuman pointed her finger directly at Qi Yuking, who had been looking at her with a strange look in her eyes. Qi Yuking, you have always wanted to kidnap my husband's woman, so I don't welcome you here. You should leave immediately. I feel depressed when I see Qi Yuking, and I try to find a sense of presence every day. Tang Yuj had broken off their engagement with her a long time ago, but Qi Yuking still often appeared at the Tang family, wreaking havoc again and again, and collaborating with Tang Xinglu to embarrass Jian Yuman. Qi Yuking's purpose was so obvious that she wanted to make the Tang family uneasy, so she could take advantage of it. Grandma Tang is always so awesome, ha ha ha. End of this chapter. After the flash marriage, the character collapsed. Author, Daobi in the World. Chapter 537. Chapter 537 Introducing Tang Feishan 3. Chapter 537 Introducing Tang Feishan 3. She even suspected that the person who exposed Lili's affair with her was Qi Yuking. The last person who didn't want Jian Yuman and Qi Lili to live well was her. Dad Tang looked at Jian Yuman in disbelief, actually driving Qi Yuking away in front of him. The expression on his face was very rich. Jian Yuman, what do you mean? I invited Yuking. Why do you drive her away? Dad, aren't I following your example? You suspected that Lili abducted Fei Shen, and I suspected that Qi Yuking seduced my husband. You said that Qi Yuking, who you invited, can't be chased away, but I also invited Lili. Why did you drive her away? Jian Yuman blinked her innocent eyes and looked at her husband aggrievedly. This means that only state officials are allowed to set fires, but the people are not allowed to light lamps. She really just dealt with things his way. Why would it be wrong for her? Honey, don't be sad, relax. Tang Yuj reached out and gently stroked Jian Yuman's back. When he raised his head, his face changed, as if he was quarreling with him. Smelly old man, don't be cruel to my wife. She has 3 lives per person now. She is the most precious person in the Tang family, but she is much more important than some outsiders. You actually hurt her for an outsider. Tang Yuj stood up to protect his wife, knowing that his wife wanted to vent her anger on her sister. Naturally very cooperative. What, are you all going to make me mad to death? Tang's father was furious for a moment. I think you want to me off to death. Grandma Tang appeared with a cane and a serious face, glaring at her son with displeasure. When Grandma Tang appeared, she was not the only one. Next to her was a beautiful woman with a curvy figure and a height of 1.7 meters. The beauty was filled with a confident smile. She held Grandma Tang's arm and slowly walked toward her, walking in the direction of the quarrel. Mom. Don't call me Mom, Grandma Tang said solemnly, pointing at the juniors. I have been looking forward to the return of Xiao Yuer and the others for a long time. It's better for you to make a fuss as soon as you see them. Do you want to drive away my grandchildren? If you think of me as your mother, you will shut up. If you really want to scold them all, I will drive you away. The juniors in the province will not dare to go home and look at me. Grandma Tang stamped the crutch in her hand 3 times, very loudly and clearly. Express her inner rage. Dad Tang was furious. Grandma Tang had come forward, so what else could he say? Grandma Tang looked at Qian Yuman with a serious face and waved to her. Qian Yuman immediately leaned over with a bright smile. At the same time, she couldn't help but glance at the elegant and beautiful woman next to Grandma Tang. Grandma, I miss you so much, and the babies miss you too. Qian Yuman smiled brightly while touching her belly. Babies, Grandma Tang's eyes suddenly became a little bigger and she stared at her belly and asked. Qian Yuman nodded with a smile. I found out a few days ago that I'm pregnant with twins. Grandma Tang's face instantly showed an expression of surprise, and she stretched out her hand to cover her belly. Xiao you are so awesome, 2 at once, ha ha ha, great, there will be 2 little princesses soon. I am happy when I think about having 2 little milk babies running around me soon. Tang's father became less angry when he heard that Qian Yuman was pregnant with twins. His own grandson was also a grandfather after all. Although my daughter-in-law is not satisfied, her belly is still very satisfying. His Majesty's intelligence is impressive. If it is a duplicate, delete it and cache it to get the latest one. Your Majesty's intelligence is impressive. If it is a duplicate, delete it and cache it to get the latest one. End of this chapter. After the flash marriage, the character collapsed. Author, Daobi in the World. Chapter 538. Chapter 538, Introducing Tang Feishan 4. As expected of twins, you are also pregnant with twins. Grandma has long guessed that you will be easy to have children and will definitely make the Tang family flourish in the future. I didn't expect that in such a short period of time, I would be able to hold 2. Grandma Tang was so excited that her eyes they were all shining, and they kept praising Qian Yuman. The atmosphere in the Tang family has finally improved a little and is no longer so oppressive. Everyone has a faint smile on their faces, and Tang's father's expression is also much better. He obviously wanted to get closer, but he shook his head awkwardly to show that he was not interested. Aren't they just twins? There's nothing weird about it. With Grandma Tang's involvement, Qi Lili finally entered the Tang family. Although Father Tang still didn't welcome her, there was no initial confrontation. The atmosphere in the Tang family temporarily returned to a harmonious state. Qian Yuman was pulled by Grandma Tang to talk. Tang Yuj was by her side. There was also a beautiful lady beside Grandma Tang. Qian Yuman was quite curious about her. Grandma, who is the beautiful woman next to you? I've never seen her before. Grandma Tang looked at the woman who was quietly accompanying her with her wise eyes and said with a smile. This is Lin Wu, the daughter of one of my family friends. Brother Tang, hello sister-in-law Tang, I am Lin Wu, you can call me Mu Yu. Lin Wu introduced herself generously, with a confident and bright smile on her face. She is a stunning beauty. Lin Wu. Qian Yuman couldn't help but look at her a few more times and greeted her with a smile. Mu Yu, just call me Manman. Manman. Lin Wu called Manman without hesitation. Grandma Tang kept holding Qian Yuman's hand and asked with a smile. I heard that this time you went to Berlin specifically to find your mother. I wonder what the result will be. Qian Yuman shook his head. My mother has not been found, but I have received definite news that she is still alive. It may take some time to find her. It doesn't matter. It's really difficult to find someone. Just like when I searched for Xiao Yu for 11 years and still couldn't find him, he still ran back on his own. Xiao Yu knew how to find someone when he was so young. Your mother, Si. As a teenager, I will naturally come back to you when I recover. Thank you Grandma for your comfort. Qian Yuman felt warm in her heart. Indeed, as Grandma Tang said, if her mother wakes up, she will definitely come back to find her. It's just a matter of time. By the way, Xiomani R, what is your mother's name? I'll ask my connections to help you find it. Dot. The moment Qianyuman said Qianyuman's mother's name, the smile on Grandma Tang's face slowly faded and she asked again. What's your mother's name? Qianyuman looked at Grandma Tang doubtfully. Qian, is there something wrong with Grandma? Qianyuman clearly saw the change in the expression on Grandma Tang's face, watching her smile fade away and return to her original serious expression. It's nothing, I just finally know why your name is Qianyuman. It turns out that you take your mother's surname. Grandma Tang's eyes flickered slightly, and the smile on her face returned. Yes. Because my parents divorced, I took my mother's surname Qian. Qianyuman still had some doubts in her heart, with a bright smile on her face. Didn't she say this before? Don't worry. I will help you find your mother's matter. Just stay at home and raise the baby. Stop running around. You have to wait at least the first 3 months. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. After the flash marriage, the character collapsed. Author, Daobi in the World. Chapter 539. Chapter 539 Introducing Tang Feishan 5. Okay Grandma. Qianyuman smiled and nodded in agreement. Anyway, it would be 3 months in a few days, so she would rest at home obediently. I will probably stay at the Tang family for a few more days, and after 3 months, I will move out with Tang Yuge. After moving out, they will live in the place Tang Yuge arranged before and live a world of 2 people. The relationship between Tang Yuge and Tang's father is not good. Coupled with Qi Lili's incident, Tang's father will always have something against Qianyuman. It would be more suitable for her to live away from home to raise her child. Qi Lili was sitting in another place, accompanied by Tang Feishan, who was holding her little hand. Lili, I'm sorry, I made you suffer. Just now Qi Lili spoke from the beginning to the end except when saying hello, and she didn't say a word after that. Even when Dad Tang was scolding her, she kept her cool personality and did not give any feedback. In fact, how could she feel better inside? This was the only time she had faced humiliation from the same person so many times, and her pride had already gone crazy. She is not someone who tolerates everything, but for Tang Feishan and their future, she worked hard to endure it. However, it is really painful, and I don't know if this tolerance can be exchanged for a better future. As long as she faces one difficulty from her father, her expectations for the future will be reduced. I'm fine, Qi Lili said calmly. The more she said it was okay, the more Tang Feishan, who knew her well, felt sorry for her. He took her into his arms and hugged her tightly. I'm sorry, although it's selfish to say this, I still hope you can get along with my dad more, see your goodness, and let him accept you quickly. I can't do it. Qi Lil said frankly. Lili. Tang Feishan pushed her away and looked at him in confusion. Don't you want my dad to accept you? Qi Lili was silent and looked down at the ground. I want to, but it's hard. It was really difficult. If he knew that his father had visited her privately, would he be able to say those words? Okay, I won't embarrass you. Tang Feishan felt a little disappointed. If you don't want to come to my house in the future, I won't force you. What about your father's side? We have to take it one step at a time, and our sister-in-law is here to help us, Tang Feishan said with a smile. Qi Lili shook her head and refused directly. I don't want my sister to help me. You can also see what happened today. Although my sister wants to help me, it will inevitably deepen the problem between her and your father. Originally, your father has not completely accepted your sister. If it is because of my relationship, let the relationship between my sister and your father has also deteriorated, so the gain outweighs the loss. They had the wrong purpose when they came to the Tang family today. It would indeed make them feel happy to let Tang's father feel deflated, but doing so would only deepen the rift between everyone. She has already been through a lot of pain, so there is no need to bring her sister along with her. I understand. I will try to find a way. As long as we don't give up, I believe Dad will slowly accept you. He just looks serious, but he is actually quite nice. Maybe. In fact, even she herself doesn't know how to go in the future. She always has the idea of taking it one step at a time. Even she herself doesn't know how far she can go. She really just wants to be with him and has no other choice. What you want. However, such a simple thing cannot be done. There are still many things they have to face in the future, and they will encounter more and more problems. End of this chapter. After the flash marriage, the character collapsed. Author, Dalby in the World. Chapter 540. Chapter 540 Introducing Tang Feishan 6. Fei Shen Tang's father walked towards them at this time, with Lin Wu following him. Lin Wu is young and beautiful, with a hot figure and generous temperament. She is the type that many men like. From the moment she appeared in the Tang family, it was difficult for people to completely ignore her. When she was outside, she was the goddess in the hearts of countless men. She followed Tang Wentao gracefully and walked to the couple. Dad. Uncle Tang. They stood up at the same time and greeted Tang Wentao. Tang Wentao heard Qi Lili say hello, but his eyes never stayed on her for a second. All he looked at was his son. You have been abroad for more than a week during this period. The company still has many things waiting for you to deal with when you return. I originally planned to keep you at work in the company for the next week. I am not inconsiderate. I have approved that you can go out for a day. Thank you, Dad. When Tang Feishan heard Tang Wentao's words, a bright smile immediately appeared on his face, and he was filled with joy. Tang Feishan immediately looked at Qi Lili and held her hand excitedly. Dad's approval of his date time for the day. Does this mean that he is willing to accept Lili? Whether it is or not, this is good news. Qi Lili looked at Tang Wentao with some confusion. She always felt that there was something else in Tang Wentao's words, which was definitely not what Tang Feishan had in mind. Tang Wentao had a faint smile on his face and pointed at Lin Wu beside him. Fei Chen, this is Lin Wu, the eldest daughter of the Lin family, the sister Mu who played with you when you were a child. Tang Wentao introduced with a smile, looking at Lin Wu with eager eyes. Sister Mu, Tang Feishan tried hard to search in his brain, and immediately remembered Lin Wu, whom he had met several times. In his memory, Lin Wu was an ugly duckling who was always left out. Looking at the graceful beauty in front of him, he still remembered stay like you were when you were 12 or 13 years old. Mu, you have changed a lot. Tang Feishan's eyes quickly swept over Lin Wu. The changes were so great that he could hardly recognize them. Lin Wu smiled brightly, pinched her cheeks and laughed at herself. Yeah. My ugly parents didn't want to take me out when I was a kid. They thought I was embarrassed. Now I can finally see people. It's said that women have changed a lot. I didn't expect that Mu became so much more beautiful when she grew up. Uncle Tang almost didn't recognize you. It wasn't your father who introduced you to me. I thought it was your father who introduced you to me. Where are the other daughters brought back from outside? Ha ha ha. Uncle Tang praised me. It's not as exaggerated as you said. She has indeed become much more beautiful, Tang Feishan said with a smile, his eyes lingering on Lin Wu for a short time. Dad Tang smiled and pointed at Lin Wu, raising his eyebrows at his son. Mu is pretty now. Not only is she pretty, she has been good at studying since she was a child. She has been cruelly sent to study abroad by her father since high school. She just graduated and came back not long ago. She can play the piano and 5 languages. Now she is working in her father's company. He works as an accountant, and I heard he's also good at cooking. Daddy Tang has been praising Lin Wu, almost praising her to the heavens and the earth. Chi Lili, who was on the side, finally understood that Tang Wentao deliberately introduced Tang Feishan's girlfriend in front of her. I also specially selected a woman who is excellent in all aspects and is suitable to be a wife. A woman who can take care of everything, whether taking care of her husband out or taking care of her husband at home. End of this chapter.